so nice to chat with you again.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How have you been? Are you in Hyderabad or in Mumbai?
I am in Hyderabad currently.
Okay, so how is it going with you now? I think we've completed 100 days of, lockdown.
Have we?
Yes, unbeaten
Wow.
at 100.
Wow, okay. 100 days of lockdown. Wow. I lost count. Thank you for reminding me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
But Shruti, every time that I see you, I hear you talk, you come across as someone so real and a person who stands for, embracing her imperfections in an industry which thinks otherwise.
Do you know what it is? I think I've tried being other people's version of things, and it's never really panned out in a way that I enjoy. So I guess I have one life and I'd rather just do it my way. It's really just as simple as that.
But were you always like this? I know you've spoken in interviews that how you were very different when, you went through that goth phase and you were into music and, didn't want to follow the herd.
I don't think goth is a phase for me. Clearly. I'm still into music, so no, that's not a phase either.
Yeah. But no, you were different. As you said, you were always different from the rest, and that's the way you were.
I don't think I tried to be different. I just, I grew up in an environment, be it at home or be it in school. I grew up in the kind of environments that really allowed your own personality to flourish and your own way of expression to resonate. So honestly, when I first joined the business, I was like, oh, I'm just going to be myself. But I had to change along the way to kind of fit in, be it with my face, be it with the way I spoke in interviews, be it with the way I was, starting to think as well. And I think somewhere along the line, I started to feel inauthentic to myself. I started to feel, especially not making my music and not being able to do that was really something I didn't enjoy at all. So I think over time, finally, I after taking that break, reassessed and kind of got back to who I am and speaking the way I feel. Also, I think it helps to have like 10 years of work and, a certain amount of success that allows you to kind of put a full stop and start a new sentence, so to speak.
What has been your biggest learning in this decade? Now, it's been over a decade since you.
Yeah, it's been over a decade.
Decade, yeah. Luck was 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
No, 2009.
2009, yeah. It's been over a decade. What's been your biggest learning individually as a person?
I think for me, the biggest learning has been to kind of take the time, which I see a lot of people like it's not something that's, perpetrated enough, is to take the time to kind of listen to yourself and kind of start like listening to your inner voice and sort of be more true to what you want to feel and how you want to feel and who you want to work with and how you want to earn and all of these things. It's very easy to kind of get stuck in a machine. So in the larger machine, metaphorically speaking. But I think the biggest learning has been to listen to myself again. Yeah.
And there is a lot of talk happening about privilege and nepotism in the industry, but somebody who comes with an illustrious surname. But I mean, from what I know of you, it's not that the surname has helped you to push yourself. It maybe introduced you to the world as so-and-so's daughter, your parents, both of them, illustrious names in their field. But you've carved your own path. What would you have to say that sometimes a privilege does not necessarily translate into everything that people...
I'm really careful about how I speak about this because I understand that there are many varied opinions. And but it's not a topic I want to avoid because starting with what you said, the surname, it's like a key to opening the door, so to speak. And people are interested, people are curious. What I have found is the skill that I lack is schmoozing and being correct with the correct people and like that whole climbing the ladder into the right camp, with the right friend, with the right director. There are people who are not from a family of films or without a surname who are in a camp, and it's beneficial to them. And there are people who are from film-named families who have not survived 10 years. And that's fair as well if they haven't put in the work or people haven't liked them. I can say, like, hand on my heart, that my father or mother have never picked up the phone and asked anyone to help me or sign me in their film or do anything. I was really on my own. And I'd also like to say that, the beginning of my career, I was very, and probably rightfully, because I didn't know what on earth I was doing in my first film, I was duly asked to leave. It was like, please don't bother. Not another one, not something like, no. So for me to stay was a real day-to-day work and a process and a determination that only I know the journey of. Now, I could tell people this and they can say, bah, but you're so-and-so's daughter. I know my journey. And I'm very proud of it, as I am proud of my surname, because it's something that my father worked very, very hard for and built himself, and each of his members of his family as well. And I feel that our family, but I feel that it's sort of a thing in our family that there are no freebies, there are no free lunches, nobody's going to help you get a leg up. Everyone has, made their own path. And there are lots of people who, maybe in the newer generation, who like me for me. There are lots of people who still compare me to my parents and say, well, she's in a patch on them, and that's fine, But I do know that I'm not a part of any circle of people that help make my work easier or better. Yeah.
And what would you say about this thing, insiders versus outsiders? I mean, now there's this whole other debate, nepotism apart. It's become insiders versus outsiders.
I've always said this. I've always felt like an outsider. I still feel like an outsider. It sounds very weird because I didn't grow up with the film vibe. My friends were from a school called Abacus. We used to sit around, play video games and cricket, and like nothing to do with cinema. They didn't care. They were just like, oh, is Kamal Uncle's movie released? Is he going to die in this one as well? Like, it was just very random. I didn't grow up with much credit to my parents for sending me to a school like that, where your father could be an accountant, an actor, a lawyer, or anything. It didn't matter. And we were all equalized. So that's the energy I took into the world. When I went to study in America in music school, they don't even know who Kamalhasan is, or they don't know. And that kind of set the trend for me to work in myself. I've always felt very comfortable in challenging and uncomfortable places where I don't have to depend on this. It's almost a relief to me when people don't have a preconceived notion about me.
Which is so true. So, I mean, just another question on this particular topic. When you came in the industry and you had to prove yourself,
of course,
was it weighing you down, or were you, it's okay, if this doesn't work out, I know I can do something else? Was that ever an option for you?
I never thought about it that way. I'm sure I could have. I always had music, but I'm one of those people, whether it's my work, whether it's a relationship, whether it's something I'm cooking, I have to see it through in a way that is successful on my terms. And I enjoyed acting very much. I enjoy it very much. In quarantine, I'm able to play my music. I'm able to share that with people. I'm able to do my Zoom recording sessions, but I'm not able to act, and I really miss it. So somewhere along the way, my love story with acting became very real, and I wanted to do well in it for myself. So I don't know about another option, but I've always felt like I want to expand, but it wasn't like because this didn't work. I would always like to do well at something, and then, yeah.
And also, I don't think many people know that your first film actually didn't take off and then you did luck, right? Wasn't that happen? It was to happen, it was to be a debut that did not work out, or have I got this information wrong?
Honestly, I was never like, oh, I want to be an actress. And it happened to me by mistake, which is where I kind of understand people's nepotism argument, because one thing that hit me very hard was when luck was offered to me, it was through Imran, who was my lucky brother. it kind of just happened. I was a musician and I was like, oh, okay. And that's not fair, is it? Because there are people waiting their whole lives for an opportunity to showcase their talent. And there I definitely agree that sometimes I think about it and I say, and before that someone had asked me for a commitment, and honestly I wasn't that interested. So, it kind of just happened, and I really value that because I feel like it's the hand of destiny as far as my life. I know to people it seems like, oh, hand of destiny, but for me it was because I really never had a plan of doing it. I never thought I was cut from that cloth, so to speak. Yeah.
And are you happy with the kind of roles that are being written for female characters? Initially that was female centric, and there is a film, there's that path in between that you think we are exploring that path in between, and people are willing to spend money on, movies driven by.
I think like female centric is like it's a scary word because it's like, why isn't it just character centric? Like, first of all, Second of all, I think, but they are necessary to move and progress forward in terms of female narratives. I feel like I've had the opportunity to play roles that are in what you would call probably a commercial framework, but with a voice. And I found those to resonate with women in the audience and even men in the audience in a way that it's suddenly like you have like this very sweet thali with everything you expect, and then there's one zing of a flavor that comes through, and usually that's a dialogue or a voice given to a woman that is not necessarily reserved for a woman. I've enjoyed that. I don't think I've ever played a female-centric character in a female-centric movie because I don't like those terminologies. Movies should be movies and we should be telling stories. And if women are a part of society, why then in its narrative or in art do we have a separate section for it,
Esme Creed Miles, Hannah, the one who's in Hannah, said something very interesting. When you play a strong woman, it's empowering, but it also is very isolating.
I don't think so. I think that I've spoken about this a lot, and I feel that anything, like I said earlier as well, anything that's challenging and uncomfortable to the norm is very, very enticing to me. And yeah, so no, I don't think that. I think it's important to have that female empowered voice, even in a commercial film, even in a non-commercial film, whatever these terms mean, Yeah.
And also you have a movie coming on the digital platform. So
Yeah.
Yaara, with Tigmanshu Dhulia's film. So excited about that. And are you okay as an actor? I know actors love theatrical releases, but at the moment, well, it's the digital.
No, I mean, honestly, this film has been in the cans for 4 years now. Yeah. So when I got a call saying that they're releasing, I was like, huh? It's like finding 100 rupees in your old jeans pocket. I was just really excited. On a very serious note, I've loved Tigmanshu Dhulia sir's work for a very long time. Working with him was one of the best experiences. I surrendered myself completely. And I hope people like it. I think it's a beautiful story. I think he's an amazing director and a wonderful person to work with. So I'm really excited for people to watch this.
And there are also lots of stories about you, Dulquer and Venkatesh collaborating for your father's remake. Is it true?
There are talks about a remake, yes, but nothing else is confirmed.
So what are you currently working on? Have you started shooting?
No, we've not started shooting yet. I'm currently, my films that are on hold are Crack in Telugu and Labam in Tamil. And I'm working on my music as well. And there's a lot of other different stuff that I'm doing, which quarantine really allowed me that time to explore what are my other avenues.
Who have been your influences in music, Shruti? Because you, in an interview, said your mom had very eclectic taste when it came to music. And also, your father seems also musically inclined, and we've seen him dance.
He's not musically inclined. He's literally got a rock star alter ego. He's so good at singing, and he's so good at music and understanding it. My mom is not a singer or a musician, but her taste in music is great. So the combination of these two was amazing. They also had very different tastes. My mom had really amazing taste that she introduced me to artists like Tori Amos and Prodigy, along with Bob Dylan and Bob Marley. My dad, on the other hand, was like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, lots of musicals. And then, of course, there was film music and classical Indian music as well. So it was like a really, really different kind of musical home. We could listen to all sorts of world music. My dad was big into world music. He would have like tracks in other languages playing all day, so you just get, it was a very musical home. And after that, I think my music teachers learning Hindustani Sangeet like gave me a discipline with music that like has shaped me for the rest of my life.
So how would you define, one word to define Shruti the actor, one word to define Shruti the musician?
I think the word for both of them is hopeful. I'm always hopeful to tell a story, whether it's through a song, and I'm hopeful that people connect. I'm hopeful that I've done justice, even to my own songs, because I can feel them inside, but I want that to come across. I think hopeful.
Also, you're somebody who's spoken about her struggles. Also, in this situation, where people are name calling is happening, a lot of unpleasantness, but everybody lost the whole plot about we need to focus on mental health, and especially even in the industry, because it's very anxious. You're in the spotlight and you have to appear as a person, but you're inside fighting another battle. What would you want to say to that, about that?
I actually, from the beginning, before lockdown, was just like really screaming about this. Because I read something really amazing, and I always share this. It says, I'm in therapy for all the people in my life who don't go to therapy. It's so true. I really wish that it would be destigmatized more. I wish there were more forums for people to talk casually without feeling that they need to tell their family that they're in therapy or that they're on medication or that they need to talk to somebody. Because the beauty of the Indian mentality, which I love, is we're like chin up, move forward, keep on keeping on. We're very good at it. Nahi, chalega, theek hai, chalo, kaam karte. That energy is amazing, but it's also debilitating in the long run, because with things like that, certain insertions happen in societal behaviors that it becomes impossible for a person to seek help and to stop. So I've been talking about this since the time that I took a break. I reassessed what that break means to me, what mental health, my mental health awareness and getting, into therapy has helped me. After I saw the benefits of it, I was in a place to talk about it. And I've been speaking about it forever. And I kind of feel like I was ready for a pandemic. I don't know if that makes sense, because the one thing that has struck me about people is their inability to spend time with themselves. It seems to be a genuine problem. And it really seems to be a problem. And I find that not unbelievable, because I've been through it before, but dealing with yourself and the thoughts you've avoided and the ideas you've put under the rug. It is about lifting that rug now. If you 100 days, as you said, locked up in your house, now is a good time to focus on mental health and ask yourself some questions that will be difficult, but surely and definitely rewarding at the end of it.
And also, somebody who's been in the spotlight, there is bad press also, there's good press also. That also, I'm sure, impacts you as artists, because anyone who's anybody just feels they have the freedom to write anything about you.
I'm okay with people because I have a filter and I have a way of critically removing bits and pieces. I'm not so sensitive that I'm like, so nobody should say bad things about me. It's not that. It's like, of course. And I can take constructive criticism. I've been on social media from the very advent of it, because I've loved it, because for me it's a litmus test and some sort of opinion thermometer. What I see happening off late especially is there seems to be a large herd mentality.
Yes.
People don't look into what it is they're arguing, what it is, and not just in India, I'm saying overall. There are people who I have heard be racist, put the black square for George Floyd, and I'm like, okay, that's a very clear indication that you're moving with the masses. I think that is the phase that we're in. When the pendulum swings, all of social media swings with it. And I would just say that, it's inevitable, because it's a new tool for human beings. Social media is at best 10 years old in its peak, and in India, maybe the last 5 years. So it's quite a new thing. I think eventually people will realize the value of their own opinions versus joining a bandwagon. You see some of those voices, but I also noticed that it seems to be a place where people share a lot of love. I get a lot of love. I'm very thankful for my little community of really, I call them my virtual family, who took the time to understand me. And we're like a little club of misfits, and I love that, And that to me is my social media. They don't fight and bicker with other people. It's like, you have a stinky opinion, okay, but the thing is, I also find that it is a place, especially like on Twitter, where I genuinely worry that I'm concerned that this person has this much angst and this much general unified hate towards the outside world. It does beg to question, why does that mood exist?
Awesome. Always a pleasure talking to you, Shruti. I mean, someone who is just so, keeps it real, walks her talk. Lastly, if there was a biopic to be made on your life, what would it be called? Or what would your autobiography be called? What would be the title be?
Still figuring it out. That's what.
And any composition music? Are you working on an album? Can we expect
I'm working on my English music in the UK, and I'm working on some interesting collaborations. It's not as fun doing it long distance, but doing the best.
Looking forward to it. All the very best.
Thank you for this lovely chat. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.